You know what I find so funny? If you live long enough, you'll watch everyone else turn into you. And right now, as an innocent IFO, Aaron Rodgers, am watching Sean Morash, Tiki Barber, Tommy Lugauer, all turn into Evan Roberts during the Aaron Rodgers era. You're waiting for the quarterback. You're living off of any hint you can get. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Aaron Rodgers vortex. This used to be my life, and now it's your life.
I'm quitting.
What do you mean you're quitting?
I'm quitting. I'm done waiting. I'm not interested anymore.
Really?
It's over.
It's over?
If it happens, it happens. But right now, I don't care. That's how I'm protecting myself.
Oh, okay.
And that's the only way you can protect yourself. Tell yourself it doesn't matter. Because no matter what happens, the Giants and Joe Shane are going to do an unbelievable job this offseason. They're going to bring in all the free agency, fill the holes that they need to fill. When the draft comes, just like last year, he's going to draft his ass off, and they're going to be perfectly fine without Aaron Rodgers. We don't need Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't believe you, though. I don't believe anything you just said. I think that you are living in a vortex that I lived in for a few years. And that is the vortex of waiting for everything Aaron Rodgers says, does, or any hint about him, because you know, and obviously the circumstances are far different than the Jets from a few years ago, but you know, just like the Giants know, that Aaron Rodgers gives them the best chance to win in 2025. And for that reason, as we sit here, as the league year is scheduled to begin in a little less than 2 hours, y'all are waiting, and y'all are nervous. Tick-tock, tick-tock, what will Aaron Rodgers do? And I don't blame you for being in that vortex. Because despite the situation being really different, if you want to win some games in 2025, Aaron Rodgers gives you a better chance at doing so than Russell Wilson. He does. Mm-hmm. He gives you a better chance of doing so than Carson Wentz. He does. He does a better chance of doing so than any young quarterback you draft and just throwing them into the mix. So I get why you're in this spot. But we all need to take a second and laugh about it because it's hilarious. This was me 2 years ago, and now all of you are sitting there. What's Aaron going to do? What's Aaron going to say? Did Aaron tweet? What did McAfee say? Did McAfee give a hint? Is McAfee trolling us? What's happening? What's happening in Pittsburgh? What's happening in New York? Are the Vikings lurking? Look at you, Sean. Look at yourself in the mirror.
I can't.
You're in the Rodgers vortex, baby.
It sucks. You know what? I'll say this right now. He may sign in the next half hour. And I said it by 2 o'clock. I gave Tiki till 4:30. We're 2.5 hours away from you dead to me, Aaron Rodgers. You are completely dead to me. I've opened up my home to you and welcomed you into my home after I didn't want you here to begin with. You're very close. What an unbelievable... This is not, Jordan Montgomery in MLB free agency. This is the NFL. It's day 3. Make a freaking decision, nude boy.
Nude boy.
Nude boy. He was half naked all over that Netflix documentary, which, by the way, I started watching thinking he'd be a giant.
Oh, my God. You're in the vortex. See, I quit the vortex late last year. I remember when that documentary came out, and I even said to you, Teak, I was like, I got to tell you, I'm not going to watch it. Mm-hmm. And I stood by it. I haven't watched a second of it, and maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I don't know, but I was done. I was divorcing myself from living and breathing everything that Aaron Rodgers does. And the fact that you started watching the documentary.
Was it good?
No, it sucks. I'm disgusted with myself.
So, to be fair, you're telling me, Teak, as a reasonable giant legend, that if you don't get word from Aaron Rodgers on his decision one way or the other, by 4:30 today, that's your deadline.
That's the deadline I set for Sean. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do his podcast.
Oh, that's right. You have to do one giant step.
Tickety talk here.
Are you going to dead to me Rodgers at some point today?
No, I'm not going to dead to me Rodgers because I don't have any connection to Aaron Rodgers other than covering him when I worked at CBS and worked a game for CBS. I don't know Aaron Rodgers. He's not mine. I didn't develop an emotional attachment to him like you Jet fans did. I'm looking at most recent history of the NFL draft. I'm looking at Jaden Daniels resurrecting the Washington Commanders out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. They won 3 games in 2023. They were terrible. And then last year, because of a really good young quarterback and some talent around him, they got deep into the postseason. I'm looking at C.J. Stroud down in Houston. They were terrible. I think they also won 3 games the year before, maybe even less. And with a good coaching staff and some talent around a young quarterback, they got into the playoffs and I think actually won a game that first year and down in Houston. So if Aaron Rodgers decides to Aaron Rodgers it and do whatever the heck it is he's going to do, I'm just going to believe, and I said that facetiously early, but I actually am starting to believe it, that the Giants are going to find a way to get the quarterback that they want in this draft. And ultimately, the same thing can happen that happened with the Commanders and happened with the Houston Texans.
Well, to me, and the reason I like the idea of Aaron Rodgers when we brought him up for the first time a few months ago is I think the Giants are drafting a young quarterback no matter what. And I think that Brian Daboll is going to attempt to develop his own young quarterback no matter what. But I think when you also have the voice in your head telling you, hey, you guys better win some games, you're going to try to do both. And the way you try to do both is you bring in a veteran that helps you win games, like Aaron Rodgers, while also developing a young quarterback. I think with this being plan B and Russell Wilson being plan C, with Matthew Stafford being plan A, to me, those 3 veterans were the, hey, we're going to win some games in the short term, and it takes the pressure off of whomever we draft, assuming we draft someone, and I have been under the assumption they were going to draft someone, in terms of how quickly am I going to play him. If you miss out on Rodgers and miss out on Wilson, I think what unfortunately happens is you're probably in a spot where the veteran you bring in is not going to win nearly as many games as Rodgers or Wilson
could.
And now your young player is probably starting a lot sooner than if Aaron Rodgers was your quarterback. And that's why, to me, as an IFO, this always made sense to me. This isn't going to be a disaster in my mind.
I'm not even worried about the disaster because it's not going to be a disaster. If Aaron Rodgers is here and he's healthy, I think he gives you the best chance to win. The challenge is, what is Aaron Rodgers doing right now? Because he has to know that the Steelers and the Giants, and I guess even the Vikings, because they're now creeping their way back into this conversation, are not going to sit and wait for him like the Jets did. They're not going to sit there like lost puppies waiting at the door. Like, can you please come here, please? Well, they're not going to do that.
Right now, you kind of guys look like lost puppies. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's right now. It's early in free agency.
Right.
The Jets, remember, this thing went until I don't know, May.
Yes.
It took forever.
There was a standoff, obviously, between Rodgers and the Packers, so it took a very long time.
And it was stupid. But I know for a fact Mike Tomlin's not doing that. Because Mike Tomlin could tell you right to your face, I don't give a you-know-what. Right. I don't know if Daves and Shane and the Maras are going to do that as well. But if I was them, I would advise them to do that. Get out. All right, Aaron, blank or get off the pot.
Yeah, no,
you're not jacking us around just because you feel like being important. Yeah. Now, if this is a bidding thing, great. We're not getting into a bidding war. Good luck someplace else. Right? If I'm the Giants and then Steelers and probably the Vikings as well, that's the kind of conversation you have to have with Aaron Rodgers. You don't want to do this. You don't want to be fully committed and you have no options, right? Then go someplace else.
Yeah.
That would be my approach to this. And you don't need to be nice to Aaron Rodgers. You don't have to kiss his ass like the Jets did for 2 years. So if I'm the Giants, I'm putting my foot down, like make a decision. Because we have stuff we need to do.
And when is that deadline to you? Is it today? I mean, the beginning of the league year?
As Sean said, it should have been 2 days ago. Like, what the hell were you doing for the last?
He's thinking about it. It's a tough decision. It's not easy. He has to decide.
The Giants.
He has to decide between Pittsburgh and New York.
It's not that hard.
He's 41 years old, too. We're not talking about prime Aaron Rodgers. He's got some nerve doing this. He really does.
I think that we are about to begin the league year later today, okay? Now, he is legally, he could announce where he's signing yesterday, or it could come out yesterday, just because the league year doesn't start till 4 o'clock, and we're talking about a release, a post-June 1st designation release, doesn't change that, because I've heard that theory. He's waiting for the league year to start.
Right. That only affects the Jets. That means the Jets can't use that money until post-June 1.
Right. It's a Jet salary cap thing, but if Aaron Rodgers has a decision on where he wants to go, that can come out. And it will. It's going to come out today or tomorrow. And honestly, I know waiting is the hardest part, but jokes aside, I think that as long as this doesn't drag into next week, and I don't think it will, we're going to get a decision.
Right.
And that decision will be pretty straightforward. He's going to be either Steeler or Giant. Maybe there's a shocking third team we're not thinking about. You mentioned the Vikings have been mentioned as a possibility, maybe the Tennessee Titans, something like that. And then you move on. But I'll tell you in the meantime, just this little brief moment in time, it is funny to see Giant fans in a vortex. In fact, you guys are in such a vortex. I know you're not going to believe me. You're going to say it was me all along. I promise you it wasn't me. There's a friend of mine who's a Giant fan. and he made a song for Aaron Rodgers. Did you know about this?
I did not.
Okay, so as a friend of mine, it is not me, I promise. We'll call him Bourne. Bourne said, I want Aaron Rodgers so badly, I'd like to make a love song for Aaron Rodgers. And maybe he hears it, and maybe it helps him make the decision to sign with the New York Giants. So, ladies and gentlemen, you ready for this, Teak?
No, I'm not. I think I might plug my ears.
All right. Tiki may plug his ears. But for you Giant fans and for Aaron Rodgers, who may be in the audience right now, we present to you a love song trying to convince Aaron Rodgers to sign with the New York Giants.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers, my heart's in a twist. Aaron Rodgers, you top my wish list. The Giants are calling, we're down on our knees. Pittsburgh's a dump, won't you save us, please? Aaron Rodgers, you're magic, a star in the night. The Giants need you to make everything right. Screw the Jets and all their drama. Here on the other side, we are the Giants, and it couldn't get worse. Aaron Rodgers, come to the Giants, my plea. Aaron Rodgers, join Big Blue's family tree.
So what'd you think, Teak? You like it?
It's actually a pretty good song. Especially because he's taking shots at Steelers and the Jets in particular.
I told you it wasn't
sounded good, actually.
I told you it wasn't written by me. I would never allow that.
And it wasn't AI, I could tell.
You could tell that wasn't AI?
Or at least it was closer to real than AI.
Wow.
The AI is getting better. There's a couple things I sniffed out there. Number one, over my dead body, was that not Evan Roberts? That was a swerve. You wanted to make it think it wasn't him. Number two, I realized the lyrics were actually good, which made me think, do I always hate Evan's songs for the reason that I hate the songs, or is it because of what I just witnessed? Evan, your dancing is what ruins the songs. You put your fingers, now I know we're not on TV right now, but digitally your fingers are in the air doing this like bop. You got the Elaine Bennett Seinfeld going on. And I've realized looking at you as the song plays makes me hate the songs and I don't appreciate the lyrics.
So if you close your eyes and listen, you're like, wow, that was a damn good song.
And I did for 20 seconds. And yes, I love that he dumped on Pittsburgh.
It didn't sound automated, the voice. It was actually pretty good.
Because he's changing the genre.
It's also very catchy. Aaron Rodgers. But you know what? That song is so accurate because it really represents what most Giant fans are thinking, which is, come here, be our hero.
Yeah.
Come here and save us for a year. Come here and save Brian Daboll's job. Come here and make things exciting. Come here and be what you couldn't be for the Jets. And I want you to admit this. I don't know if Tiki will admit this because I don't think he has any hate in his heart. So you're better than them.
Yes.
But for most Giant fans, specifically you two, you know deep down a part of your joy on Aaron Rodgers potentially coming to the Giants is to stick it to the loser Jet fans who thought that Aaron Rodgers was going to be our hero, and we walked away with 5 wins in 2 years from the quarterback. So admit it. It may not be the majority. It may be a little bit of it. But sticking it to the Jets is an aspect of the appeal of Aaron Rodgers.
It might be satisfying.
Even you're admitting it.
Yeah. Definitely. Not any, disrespect to the Jets. It looked like he was washed over there. He comes to the Giants and he's really good. It says something good about the Giants.
I mean, all you have to do is win more than 5 games.
It's not even disparaging really to the Jets. It's good for the Giants.
Yeah, and I want them to sign Aaron Rodgers for the good of Robert Saleh. Brian Daboll and Aaron Rodgers need to come together. Robert Saleh was treated unfairly by Woody Johnson and show that, this marriage can work in New York. Do it for Rob. Hashtag do it for Rob.
So you're admitting it. Tommy, you're admitting it too. You want to stick it to me and other Jet fans. And that's fine, by the way.
This could be the final death nail in the Jet fan, I think. When you consider the expectations for Aaron Rodgers and your team, this one will put you over the edge.
And you are 1,000% right, because also talking to Giant fans today about this Rodgers situation at 888-808-1019, I invite my fellow Jet fan, Because this Aaron Rodgers to the Giants story is not exclusively their story. It's mostly their story, and that's why we've spent most of our time talking about the Giant aspect, but it's our story too. Because Tommy's right about something. I only represent one Jet fan. I can't represent everybody, but I can tell you how I feel. And how I feel is if Rodgers ends up with the Giants and there are levels of success, it is gonna freaking piss me off. I'll be the first to tell you. And so as I sit here, months after I first brought this up to you, as just an innocent football idea, I will raise my hand and tell you, I don't want it. I don't want it because I'm scared. I don't want it because I don't want to have to live in a world in which Tiki with his smile, Sean with his trolling, and Tommy just being a douche have to rub it in our noses that the Rodgers experiment with the Giants was more successful than the Jets. So to my fellow Jet fan, maybe you disagree. Maybe you want him to go to the Giants because you think it'll fail. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you've divorced yourself from Aaron Rodgers. Where do you find yourself in the Rodgers vortex? 888-808-1019. We'll get to your phone calls. We'll get to more aspects of this Giants pursuit. And also we'll mix in some baseball today, including Aaron Boone saying something that has pissed off a lot of Yankee fans. We'll address what he said and if it should piss you off. We're live from the Town Fair Tire Studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.